Let's talk about some of my observations over the last 28 days on using AI scribe technology to perform physical therapy documentation. I was totally new to the space. I had no idea about it historically. Obviously, it's new technology anyway, but I've been like neck deep in every single day playing with the technology, using Hippo Scribe specifically, but also looking at some of the other platforms that are out there and trying to understand how is this going to work for me in my practice. And I made some really interesting observations. First, the most practical. It is not a technology that everyone is going to use. That's the bottom line. Like, there's a world we live in where I can do a treatment note in less than 3 minutes. I can do an evaluation in less than 8 minutes. Most of the time, an AI scribe is not going to allow me to do that. But I'm the first one to say that it's not a full comprehensive, narrative. I'm missing details. It's sufficient to pass audit, but it's not really the best product I can produce. But if I don't care, if I'm a therapist that's so busy, I don't care about the quality of the documentation, I am simply trying to satisfy the requirement, I can get that done. I can get that done with templates, not using AI scribe technology or anything else. It can be done. And there's plenty of therapists and busy clinics who are getting paid, low wages, and they're just trying to keep their head above water. So that use case doesn't apply. But I will say that if I'm looking at about investing the same time, but getting better quality narratives, getting better quality information, capturing more details than I would normally capture if I'm just doing the evaluation using my brain, my ears, my eyes, I can tell you that AI scribe technology is going to improve the output. But it's not going to improve the output for every element of the note. So if we look at initial evaluations, it is incredibly valuable to use the ambient listening feature for the first 10 to 15 minutes of my evaluation. This is when I'm collecting all of the information. This is when I'm understanding what's going on with the patient. And this is where I'm most likely to miss details that are shared between the patient and me, the therapist, because I'm trying to collect the information, to document the information, to synthesize the information. I'm just going to miss details that are probably important. But when I have the ambient listening feature, it will catch every single word that is spoken from the patient. Now, I find that it does best for those first 10 to 15 minutes of the session. Then when I start getting into the treatment, I usually stop the recording. I usually go through my treatment with the patient. Then what I'll do is I'll hit a new recording to capture my assessment, develop my plan of care, and answer any questions that the patient might have. And so in my final output for documentation, there's going to be elements that come from the AI scribe technology. There's going to be elements that I'm going to free text. There's elements that I'm going to copy and paste. I'm totally fine with that. When I look at the time it takes me to do it that way compared to the time it takes me to do it the original no AI scribe way, it's about the same time so far. But when I'm using the AI scribe, I'm getting a lot more detailed, a lot more information, and it's organizing my thoughts into a more cohesive narrative. Because when I'm trying to listen and type and think, I don't necessarily provide the best documentation. The other element, when we're talking about treatment notes, is kind of the same thing. When I see a patient for a first-time follow-up or any follow-up session for that matter, we usually start every session in a similar way. Hey, how are you doing? What's different? What's feeling better? What's feeling worse? Did you have any negative response to the first treatment? Are you doing your home exercises? Did you have any questions about your home exercises? The first probably 2 to 5 minutes of a treatment follow-up, that is the best time to use the ambient listening function of an AI scribe to capture that information and synthesize it into a cohesive narrative. What I'm finding is we also improve the quality of the information we're collecting, because now what I'm doing is I'm thinking about specific questions I want to ask that I want the AI scribe to capture. And that is forcing me to really be more mindful about the documentation and the information I'm gathering from my patient. I'm also thinking more about my plan of care and making sure that each subsequent follow up visit is following a very structured plan of care, where before it was kind of like every time you come in, we'll develop a new treatment, we'll take you through whatever is worse, we'll go through whatever you're missing. It was more of a free flow, but that didn't necessarily result in better quality documentation. So I'm finding that for the treatment note, I use the ambient listening feature to record the first 2 to 5 minutes. Then I use a dictation to document what was done during the treatment and to create the assessment and the future plan for the treatment note. Now, remember, if you look at the Medicare guidelines, Medicare clearly tells us a treatment note is not required to justify the appropriateness of therapy. That is done in the plan of care. So I could, in probably less than 60 seconds, generate a Medicare compliant treatment note that has the bare minimum of what Medicare requires. But that is not necessarily functioning at the highest level of my licensure. So with the ambient listening, with the dictation, I can use the AI Scribe to synthesize the information that I collect, the assessments that I create, the plan that I generate, and turn it into a cohesive, clearly written, concise piece of documentation. Again, it doesn't necessarily save me time, but I believe it increases the quality of the output. Now, this isn't going to happen right out of the box. Every one of us is so unique and so different that we really do need to put time into training the model that we're using. We need to put time into creating the templates that we want to create. There have been days like today where I'll go in, I'll generate a note using HippoScribe, and then I'm not happy with the note, so I'll regenerate it using a different template in a different format. I've spent time creating templates specific to third-party payers like Medicare, Aetna, Humana. I've also spent time creating templates that were specific to the condition. So I've got a template for total knee replacement. I've got a template for non-surgical shoulder pain. Each of those templates are going to be customized by me to generate the kind of report that I wanted to generate. So if I was the kind of therapist that thinks AI is going to write the note for me, it's not going to happen. If I was a therapist who thinks I'm just going to turn it on like flipping a switch and it's going to output an amazing piece of documentation, that's not going to happen. But I absolutely have no doubt that this is going to improve the quality of the documentation I'm already producing. It's going to give me more features and more functionality than I would have had just using one brain, two eyes, and two ears. And I really think that as this technology continues to evolve, I am going to be ahead of the curve because I'm already going to have practice using this version, where the next version is just going to be better than today, and future versions are going to be better than that. So let me know what you guys are doing. If you're already using an AI Scribe of any brand, I don't care. I would love to hear how it's going for you. I'll catch you on the next video.